All right, so what is factoring? Factoring is writing, in this case, a polynomial as a product. There it is, as a product. And in math, the word product means to multiply. So we're going to write it as a bunch of stuff multiplying. And each part that's being multiplied is called a factor. So each part that is multiplying is a factor. Now, this lesson is going to look at, and polynomials that can't be factored, they're called prime when they can't be factored. So we're going to look at today's what's called the greatest common factor. Sometimes we call it GCF. And when we look at that, we're looking at the coefficients, which are the big numbers in front. And we also look at the variables, which are the letters. And we want to see what they have in common, what goes into both. And we're going to divide it out and see what's left. So if I look at number 1, I'm looking at 3 and 12, and I'm looking at what's the largest number that goes into both evenly. What number do they share? That's 3, because 3 goes into 3 once, and there's x left over, and 3 goes into 12 4 times. And if you want to, you can distribute, so you can multiply and see if it equals what it was before. But in this case, this is what it looks like, and we say 3 is a factor, and x plus 4 is a factor. So each part multiplying is called a factor. And number 2, you can see, what do they have in common? Well, it's 7. And then when I divide, 7y divided by 7, it's just y, and negative 7 divided by positive 7, and you have your answer. You know you did it right, that if you multiply it, it equals the question of what it was before. All right, I'm not going to do multivariable algebra, so I'm going to skip over those. Number 5, so I want to look at 6 and 27. What number do they share that go into both evenly? And that number is 3. So 6a squared divided by 3 is 2. And 27 divided by 3 is 9. And there it is. That 3 there is called the greatest common factor, that number in front. Here, we're going to divide out. What number do they both have in common? Now, in this case, they also have y's that they have in common. You take the least y and factor it out. So that's just one y, not the y squared. And then you divide. So 4 divided by 4, that's 1. And then when you divide the y's, you subtract them. Here, do you see? There's a fly right there. Negative 24 divided by 4, that's negative 6. When you subtract the exponents for y, it's 0. So there you go. Now, if you want to multiply it, you would see the answer is 4y squared minus 24y. I think this fly is a movie star. It totally wants to get into the... there it is. I told you, it wanted to get in the camera. It just got in. That's crazy. All right, the rest is multivariable. What do we have? Oh, way down here we don't have a multivariable. Number 17. Let's look at that. So number 17, we only have a y. So let's look at that one. So in this case, you're looking at 3 numbers. And what number do they all share? And that answer is 2, because 2 goes into each one evenly. And you look at the least y, which is y squared. And then you divide. So 6 divided by 2, and you subtract the exponents. 14 divided by 2, and you subtract the exponents. And then negative 10 divided by 2, and you subtract. Now, in this case, that would leave you a 0y. And if you multiplied it, it would equal what it is before. All right, let's go to your homework sheet. And we're going to do the ones that are not multivariable. So the only ones that have only one letter, not 2. So we're going to factor out what number do they have in common. So 7 goes into both, and then divide. So 7 divided by 7 is 1x, and 49 divided by 7. What number goes into 8 and 6? What number do they share? And then 8 divided by 2, and that's m, and negative 6 divided by 2. Look at what number goes into both. And then 5a squared divided by 5 is 1a squared. Negative 15 divided by 5 is negative 3. So we're not going to do 4 or 5. Let's look at number 6. 36 and 24. Now here's a good example. There's more than one number that could work. So 4 is shared, but the larger number is 6, and 6 is shared. But the largest number that's shared is 12. That's the biggest one that goes into both. And they both have A's. So you take the least A and you factor it out in front. And then we divide. So 36A squared divided by 12A. So 36 divided by 12, and then subtract the exponents. 24 divided by 12, subtract, and you get no A's. Right, these are done. Look at number 9. What do they have in common? 5, divide, and divide. And you have your answer. So 10 divided by 5, subtract. 5 divided by 5. When you subtract the x's, that's 0. Number 10. All right, what number do they both have in common? And the least x. And then divide. That's 2. And then divide. That's minus 3. And 2 take away 1 is 1x. All right, see, are there any other single variable, univariable ones? I'm looking. All of these seem to be multiple letters, right? That's it. Mr. G Math, over and out. Good job.